Hey everyone, welcome back to Contractor Growth Network. I'm Logan Shinholser, and today I'm joined actually by another marketing agency owner. I got Tim Brown, owner of Hook Agency. Tim, give us a background. Who is Tim and who is Hook Agency? Excuse me.
Yeah, so Tim Brown is a roofing marketing company or roofing marketing guy. And we do work with some other contractors, but primarily roofers and unsexy trades, plumbing, HVAC, that type of thing. And in that we have in common that there's a lot of contractors. Your stuff's a little sexier than ours,
Yeah.
um, but there's an element of this company has a specialization, and that's a beautiful thing, and it allows us to get better quicker at the things we do: SEO, PPC, and websites. And we're grateful to serve the trades in general and like contractors because we think it's a incredible industry, and it's so far reaching, and we didn't realize quite as much once we weren't in it. Now we are, and so but yeah, Hook Agency is 27 people right now in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're growing. And yeah, we're learning a lot, and as human beings too, and leading a company, I'm learning a lot as a human being and trying to get better. So
Love it. So what we're talking about today is just going to be all about AI and like the future of, from our perspective, and everything we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to guess you feel the same way. Tim is going to be, we could talk about it today, but they may make some announcement tomorrow, and everything we say today is
oh
goes
yeah,
out the window, right? Because
yeah, I
it's
feel like yeah, there's a lot of people running in on this stuff though, like as far as like all the guys in our industry, because maybe not so much in for, let's say, water features and roofing or whatever, right? Like maybe they don't see as much of this. Everyone's seeing ChatGPT, everyone's seeing automation, everyone's seeing it, but like our industries are just like it's blowing up. I
mhm.
saw a study with McKinsey that was talking about the industries that will be most affected. Marketing is up there. And sales and software obviously is really high as well. So um, our industries are going to be just unfathomably different in the next couple of years, and there's fear around it from agencies, from marketers, from copywriters, from lots of different types of things. So it's like kind of important as business owners. We have fought the fear for a long time, and we have to. So we're used to this feeling that we don't that we make sure to innovate with it, not to hold ourselves back or to fight it, because what we're fighting now might be like industry standard in 6 months.
Every day there's 10 new AI tools that help you do everything in the world. And so far, tool wise, we primarily just use ChatGPT. We'll talk a little bit about how we do it and how we use it for our clients as well. There's a lot of other softwares and you know apps out there. Like I know Photoshop is starting to get more into this generative AI, and you can essentially say, hey,
Yeah.
take this photo of, I don't know, a kitchen that's unstaged and now stage this kitchen, and now it makes it
Yeah.
more beautiful. So
So
there's
I'll give you
aspects
an
of that.
example. Yeah, like I mean, this is gonna be littered with tools, this conversation, and some of them are
Okay.
fun, and like you should use them now and try them. Like I'm loving, and we're gonna go into the philosophical side, but we're also gonna just drop a bunch of tools, I think.
Go, yeah,
So
hit us off with the tools.
I love Midjourney on Discord, which is essentially you say what you say imagine. It's like the prompt, and then you say what you want. So right before this, I was just making a shit, like basically like in our industry, there's like a bunch of like shitty Photoshops going around. So I'm making a shitty Photoshop of a guy for an event. He's going to be the shingle wizard, and it's a wizard holding a bunch of shingles. So I'm like,
Hmm.
I basically put that in there, what I wanted, and it came up with something. It wasn't that good. I'm iterating on it in Photoshop, like in actual Photoshop, but
Hmm.
like the ability to come up with something for an image out of nowhere just by describing what the image is.
What
And
is
so that
Midjourney? Because you and I know
Midjourney
what
is,
that is, but
yeah,
nobody else knows what it is.
it's basically a bot that like you tell it what you it's so the platform is Discord, which is like a chat system for teams and just like communities. But Midjourney is a bot for that tool. So there's a couple steps here, right? To download Discord and then to install Midjourney. But it's not that many. You know what I mean? It's like ultimately 5-10 clicks of the button, and then now you're like create. And I know that there's other ones. This one just happens to be pretty dang good compared to some of the earlier ones. And what's you said, like this might be antiquated in 6 months. People need to get used to this feeling that's uncomfortable, where the tool 6 months ago they might have tried an image generating tool and it might have been very bad, and now they're all of a sudden they're very good. So like the level of quality keeps on going up so fast. That's why it's kind of scary too.
So and Tim, just so you know, as a side note to all this, we hired a podcast consultant like 6 months ago, and one of the things that she
Mm-hmm.
went through a lot of our podcasts is she was like, "Look, you guys are using these like terms that you may
Mm-hmm.
have talked about a lot, but most people don't know that, especially if this is their first time." So
Yep.
when talking about, let's say for like Midjourney and Discord,
Yep.
Discord is a communication app that you type in and you communicate back and forth. It's kind of like a Slack, if you guys know what that is. But you
Yep.
use that and you type in this information and you say, I want you to create an image like this. And then that
Yep.
takes that information. And then this idea of Midjourney, which is a software, it's an AI software, will take what you say and then do its best to then create that image for you. And then if you
Yep.
didn't like it, you can go back and say, hey, make these updates. But that's essentially what Tim's talking about, where
Yeah.
it is you're creating images simply by typing in what you want it to produce.
I really
So,
like that. And I'll like an additional step, because obviously like the things that these tools spit out, even on the content side or whatever, they're always best with a human curation, right? And so now Photoshop, the beta version, and I'm pretty sure Canva's probably rolling out AI tools quick too. But Photoshop, the newer beta version, you can literally, there's a missing part of an image, or you want to make an image larger, like with context, like it allows you to then create parts of an image that didn't exist before, and it just takes what the image had in it, and it can make more of it, but even create more context. So there's now, I think, overarching, like that didn't exist 3 months ago. That literally was in the last month. So the speed at which these things are happening with AI is just kind of extraordinary.
so with the image generation one, this is kind of like same with like using AI to create blogs. Um, to me, what this really means is the overall barrier to entry plus the standard for what images need to look like just got raised. And for example,
Mm.
we've always, especially like, we work primarily with like, a remodeling company. So it's in a very visually, aesthetically pleasing
Mm-hmm.
industry. It's always been, I don't really take photos of my work, or if I do, it's like an iPhone photo. Well, what we do is if somebody gives us a photo and we need to, add it onto their website for their website, to like make it look good and make it stand out, we can take that image. And if it's missing pieces of it, we can
Yep.
tell Photoshop, hey, complete this for us. Or
Yep.
there's other tools that will take a photo that's maybe it's a little bit pixelated, where it's kind of fuzzy looking. And you could say, kind of like how iPhones will automatically do this when you take a photo, it'll very quickly enhance it in the way that they think it needs to be done. Well, you can do the same thing here, which is what Photoshop's always kind of done, but now it is using these AI tools and this AI brain to essentially guess, hey, this is a way that we should make this better. So it takes these photos that look like they were just taken on maybe an iPhone, and they can enhance it in ways that makes it look like it's been taken by a professional photographer with the
Mm-hmm.
lighting and the image, like, and all that stuff that goes into it. So to me, that now raises the bar where, if you were somebody where, you were like, well, at least I'm taking photos. And I hear that a lot from people where they're like, at least I'm writing blogs. Nobody else in my area is writing blogs, so at least I'm doing them. And I'm like, well, that's great that you have that mindset to a certain extent, but it's
Yeah.
there's a barrier, like there's a certain standard that you need to uphold. And same with like video, just as a whole, where people say, well, nobody else is doing video, at least I'm doing video. Well, there's actually videos that you can do that actually hurt your brand. So it's actually better if you're going to do those types of videos, it's better to not even do video. So
Yeah.
this AI stuff is raising the bar for everybody and forcing everybody to get better as a whole. So from
We've
an
been thinking
image
of it.
side of things, it's huge.
Yeah, we've been thinking of it like it's like an inflation. Like, with the amount of content that's being created on a regular basis, and the leverage goes up, right? Like one guy could pull a lever. It's so long, right, that it moves the world. That's the old quote. And AI is now a lever. So if you're very good at design, you could get better at design. You're the guy pushing the lever, you're going to have more leverage. If you're very good at copywriting and wielding copy to get a marketing results, you might be able to write 30,000 words a day if you were really good and you know how to wield it, right? Like you could figure it out because the levers are getting longer, but that's like an inflation thing. Like, so we think of it as content inflation. There's content inflation happening on the internet. And when we come to the SEO side of things with AI, I studied up on all my favorite thought leaders in SEO and what they're talking about in AI so that I can kind of curate some of that best information for this podcast. And I'll share some of those takes. But I want to note there's two kind of main things happening that are scary for people in my line of work and in as a marketing agency, but also if you're thinking about this for marketing for your company, there could be some fear around this, noting that one, SEO, the bar kind of just went up, as you kind of mentioned about some things, and also generative search. So those are two main topics that I think should be addressed on any podcast about this, which is obviously AI to create content. I don't think most people are going to need the explanation, but for your podcast consultant noting that we should be very, very clear on basic topics, I think that ChatGPT allows people to very quickly create content, right? You could copy and paste that content with no editing, no human curation into the website. You could also do it another way where you spend a little bit more time on it and you make sure it looks good, it feels good, it has a human editing element to it. There's kind of different ways to do that, but because content is such a big part of SEO, potentially, and based on a lot of tests that we're seeing, we're still holding out hope that it could essentially allow you to do more SEO quicker, right? So, and then generative search, because content is such a big part of SEO. That's the clear cut answer on that.
Well, let's do this. Let's piggyback off of that idea first, and then we could talk about generative search
Generative
because I
search.
think
Yeah.
I think it's the building block. So walk through, I guess, your take on from an SEO perspective, what is happening with AI and ChatGPT?
Yeah. So Google has stated we are going to reward high quality content however it's produced. And maybe 6 months ago, the party line for Google would have been no AI, do not use AI. So they've changed in 6 months. They've said, however it's produced, we're rewarding high quality content. That means there will be a mad rush. Like if people weren't using it as much anymore, they're probably going to be using it more. To what degree is the question, and to what degree of human curation and editing should you use? For instance, I'll share this because I know you won't be watching this, but I had a marketing assistant for a second that used ChatGPT. Like I kind of invited him to try it and said you could use this for certain tasks, but he used it for a Facebook post on my account, which I that's a weird thing. I let him use my account. And then he pushed it out to all the groups. And it was supposed to be a post towards roofers, but it was a post towards homeowners. So it looked really cheesy and poorly done and it was very clear it was AI. So there's ways that you can do this wrong. with AI, right? Like if your content gets read by a human and doesn't come off as clearly for them and well done, it could be very bad, right? So that's where the risk is on AI content. Um, but ultimately, like the content levels with people using AI that are good writers and can wield that and can do, that know how to wield content for marketing purposes, that's just going to go up, up, up. HubSpot had said 91% of blog posts do not get read. 91%. So how much will it be with AI content? It's just the bar, like you said, the bar keeps getting raised because of this, because now that anyone can do it, I was just thinking the same thing about video this morning. Now that anyone can do it, quality is it's like it was anything, quantity, get it out there. And now, starting now, I think, or the last 6 months, video, short form video, even if your competitor isn't doing it, you're competing with the entire internet. We talk about the attention economy. The attention economy is a book, but it's the basic premise is all of the internet now is you're competing with the newest Donald Trump news, the cutest cat video. You were competing with that because that is attention. We're all competing for attention. So as the quantity goes up on the general internet, our quality has to go up to compete because we have to earn those views more, and it's easier to filter out because there's more and more noise. So that's where AI can help you, but we have to figure out how to cut through the noise and how to be not noise. So one thing I've seen that I really like AI as a use for personally, like as far as our company and my content, is like, for instance, like I made a post recently about HVAC commercials, right? I wanted to share with my audience, which is, home service businesses, roofers and HVAC in particular. And I like put the scripts. You can go into what are the subtitles or the script from YouTube. There's a little thing where you can open it at the bottom and you can copy all of it in there and you can say, hey, give me the best kind of the key points that would be effective in this commercial for marketing. And so essentially it's summarizing existing stuff. You could do that with your videos, right? Like if let's say Logan came to your office and shot some thought leadership videos with you, you can take those, or you shot it with somebody who has limited time and they're not going to spend the time to write the blog post. You could take the script from that or the words from that and put it into ChatGPT and summarize. The best usage is like summarization. I think there's a lot of things with like basically identifying key points. Logan had mentioned an amazing tactic, which I'm sure he shared on this podcast before, which is you export all of your reviews. I love that tactic. You export, and there's a tool that allows you to export all of your reviews. And then you can say, based on all of these reviews, let's say we have 75-star reviews. Based on all of these reviews, what are the 3 things that come up most that we should be talking more about on our website homepage? And there's just a beauty to that because we always want to kind of create that feedback loop between customers and our marketing message so it feels authentic. This allows us, it's weird because this would allow us, AI would allow us to make more authentic marketing.
And that's, so piggybacking off of that, that's primarily how I personally use it, is I use it to take information and analyze it, and then whether I want to summarize it, I want to pull pieces out from it. Essentially, I'm like, everything that I use it for, I could manually do. There's nothing that's like out of the box for the most part. I mean, there's some things that I would say, hey, in this Excel spreadsheet, I need to make this thing happen. What commands do I do? And then it'll tell you exactly what to do. So like it will do that. It makes it much easier. But based off of, let's say we're trying to build a website for somebody, we'll export out their reviews. And what we're starting to do more and more of is we are training each, like we're taking all the information for a client. That will be
Mm-hmm.
their reviews, the notes that they've given us, their sales notes, when
Yeah.
we write website copy, all that stuff. And we're putting it all into one channel, and we are training this AI tool all about this company. So when it comes time to, all right, give us 5 headline ideas that we can use for this specific page, it will analyze what the client wants to be known for in
Mm-hmm.
conjunction with what the reviews and what their
Yeah.
clients are saying about them already. So, for
That's
example,
beautiful.
if I take all the reviews for Hook Agency and I say, all right, pull everything out. What are the top 3 reasons why a prospect would want to work with Hook Agency? I would also then say, okay, based off of these reviews, what services do you think Hook Agency provides? And it'll spit back,
Yeah.
you know, let's say 10 different services based off of what people are saying. And I
Yeah.
may say, hey, Tim, you told me you only did SEO, PPC, and websites, but this thing is also talking about coaching and consulting. Do you do that? Oh, actually, and hypothetically, actually, yeah, I do that. Well, you don't talk about that on your website.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a page for it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's also how we're using it from an SEO standpoint is, we just did a strategy for somebody, and if you asked them what their services were, it was, I do essentially fireplace installation and repair and maintenance, and that's about it. So on paper, that's 3 different services. Well, based off of what the reviews say, the reviews are people saying, hey, I use them to install my gas fireplace. Well, we were taking that information based off of what the reviews are being said about them, and then I'm looking up in Google to see, are people actually searching for this stuff? And what we realize is that a lot of times people, and we don't, and we all do this, it's not just contractors, but we all do this, where you think you really only have a few services, but in reality, you actually have, it's the same services, but maybe it's like a different umbrella that it's under.
Yeah.
And people are actually searching for that exact thing.
Yeah.
Because in the eyes of Google, if you type in, fireplace repair, that's one thing. But if you have a gas fireplace and you're looking up gas fireplace repair, well, you'd actually want content or a web page or something that's more specific to that thing. So we're using it in different ways to essentially analyze information. And let's say on the gas fireplace repair page, I'll say, hey, based off the reviews that you have, what specifically are people looking for with repairing their gas fireplace? And they'll say they're looking for these things, and these are the benefits of what they're saying. So I know I was playing around with it with for a roofing company, and um, I just went on some random companies that had a ton of reviews, went through their stuff, and I was like, what services do you provide based off the comments? And it was all these different services. And I said, okay, for each service that you just listed, give me the number one emotion or sentiment or reason that the person liked this. And for like roof repair or roof inspection, it came back with, I liked how thorough they were, and they were very transparent with the things that I did not need. Well, that's beautiful, because then when it comes to the actual website itself, on the roof inspection page, you would want to highlight that of, hey, we're going to show you exactly what you need. We're going to be thorough, and we're going to be very transparent about what you do not need. So it's essentially just taking the words of what's already there and applying it. And we do that with a lot of things, where it's taking all the stuff that it could be done manually, the same way that you could dig a hole with your hands. But if I said you can either dig this hole with your hands, or I'll give you a shovel, you're going to take the shovel. But at the end of the day, you still need to know how the hole needs to be dug and what it needs to look like. And I think that's the one thing that a lot of us are not quite understanding is, you could give me all the tools to re-roof someone's house and say, here's everything that you need. But if I don't know how to re-roof that house in the right way, it's going to get messed up. And that's, I think, the big thing here when it comes to, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, he was like, can I just use ChatGPT to write all my own blogs? And I said, look, technically, yeah, 100% you can. However, if it's not, because now that everybody's doing it, if you're not structuring the website in the right way and setting it up with the correct information that Google wants to see, you're going to be in that 91% category that Tim brought up that came
It's
from
probably gonna be
HubSpot, where
95. It's gonna be 95 in a few
it's
years because
it's so high because and we have clients that do that, and they're like, well, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, and we're like, that's fine, but you've written a few hundred blogs that gets the same amount of search traffic as an SEO company that knows what they're doing off of maybe 15 blogs, because your hundreds, Google doesn't even know that
yeah.
those hundreds of blogs exist. And you just spent all this time and energy and effort. And now what do you got? So at the end of the day, just like in your world, the contracting world, like, you could give me all the tools, but you using the tools are so much more impactful because you actually know how to take them and leverage them. And you also know along the way, if I'm doing something myself with your tools and I mess it up, where I messed up. I don't know where I messed up because I don't know how to actually get it done. So I think it's one thing
great.
to keep in mind, is that these are amazing things. But the fact is that if you said, write a blog on what it costs to, you know, what's the difference in cost of these different types of roof shingles? Okay, great. But at the end of the day, you now need to know how to then take that information and leverage it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're going to be stuck putting all this energy and effort into all these things, and it's going to go nowhere, unfortunately.
So for us, there's like 10 things after, like, let's say a writer has written a blog or ChatGPT has written a blog that we're doing on the for the SEO stuff, like the images, the alt tags, like, not to overcomplicate it, but the point is like, you should have those things. If you're doing it, look for SEO checklists. And it's basically, it's a lot of little busy work. And that's why sometimes you pay people to do it. But there's like, if I published it with even an AI content without any of those 10 things, then I'm assuming that's getting no traffic. Like, it's not just content alone is nothing. It's like content plus some key SEO moves. The other thing is that I realize that a lot of people don't understand is choosing the topics has to be right. And no offense, ChatGPT is not that great at keyword research yet. And I'm sure there will be tools, but like, keyword choices and strategy is a really important thing. So if you're doing some of this, pair it with keyword strategy for better results. That being said, I agree with Logan. I want to give you some random takes from around the SEO industry because I'm curating information for this podcast. One thing from Ahrefs. Oh shoot, that's about a generative search. So I'll get into that in a second. Brian Dean, he really believes AI content alone is not going to do it. He believes world-class content is going to do it. It's kind of of course, Brian, thanks. He says generic content doesn't usually make it to page one. Generic content doesn't usually make it to page one. And usually content on page one is pretty good. So just remember, like, it ends up being a quality game when we're on page one. Because if people are clicking into your site and going back, that's actually a bad thing from a Google perspective. How can you do that? Add perspective to your content. Even if you're using some AI, try to use some perspective. I love what Logan's saying about feeding it good information. The better you feed it, the better stuff you're going to get back. So the more context, just like anybody, like any marketing person, you give them more context, the better marketing they're going to get back. You give AI better, more filled out, better questions, better context, more information, the better your stuff you're going to get out. Without letting it just tap. You don't want even though now ChatGPT 4 can allow you to search the internet and it's slow and it's clunky, but it's cool, but you don't want it to just use all the information on the internet, because you and I both know all the information on the internet deserves 95% of no clicks, right? So Matt Diggity is an affiliate marketer. He says, go quick, do it now, publish as much as you possibly can, create the system. That's basically his thing, is build it out, have checklists. He would say have SEO checklists for your teams, but build out as much of it as you possibly can. Use this as a lever. Might be a year. where you get a, you figure, like there might be time period where this works as like a massive, just like anything, right? Like short form video, vertical videos for the last a year ago, if you were doing tons of it, it would have been massive for your brand. Now, cost of cost of doing business, it doesn't matter. It's like barely, it's barely any kind of differentiation. So quality matters more and more. I say it's like, did you ever play 007 GoldenEye back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
I think of this as like we all have rocket launchers now. So we're playing it with rocket launchers. You might be better than me with a rocket launcher. You know what I mean? So it's like it's still the quality of the marketer or the quality of you as a business owner trying to use AI. It's going to be better if you're better because you're competing against people that have access to the same tools. So we think of it as a gold rush, but it's not if everyone's rushing, right?
Yeah, I play a lot of pickleball now, and you'll have people that are brand new, and they're like, "Well, what paddle do I get? Like, do I get this very expensive paddle?" I'm like, "Look, man, like you can get that paddle, and you'll look really cool when you show up, but you're still gonna suck." So like, it has nothing to do with the tool.
Yeah.
Like, once you get really good, then it makes sense, and then it's good to go. But like,
Yeah.
these iPhone cameras are so good, but I still see people that don't understand photography take a
Mm-hmm.
photo, and I'm like, you have a very expensive and very high tech camera on your phone that your thumb is in the way of the photo still. So it's
Yeah.
like it's knowing that stuff. So, and I will
Exactly.
say we probably watch a lot of the same stuff. I watch a lot of videos on like how to optimize it and how to make it better. And they have people that will come out and they say, look, we're testing stuff. And he was doing like 10 blog posts per day using just chat gpt,
Mm-hmm.
and it started to go up and up and up, and he was like, this is amazing. And then Google was like, whoa, like this is not as good as you think it is. And then he went down, actually further down than where he was from the beginning, because that starts to get into
Mm-hmm.
crawl budgets, and it's this whole thing. But we can go
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole of all that.
That
But
that's what Marie Haynes is somebody that I look at for Google updates all the time. She just really believes Google is going to be more and more selective about what
mm-hmm,
it crawls. So you talk about crawl budget, which just to non-marketers means at a certain point there's so much content on a website that it will be like, well, we're not crawling that or we're not crawling it as much. Or Google will say that website isn't very important. So we're not going to spend a lot of time crawling it. Let's say you were updating it often, but you had no links to it or something like that. So Google's just going to be more selective. I agree with her on that. It's just going to get more and more selective. Quality will need to go up. A few last ones so I can wrap up this. Like, here's what other people are saying around the industry. Orange marketing. AJ Cohen, guidance will be needed. It will push up demand for real expertise in search engine optimization. And he says people are allergic to work. If you're not allergic to work, you'll win because there's a lot of people that are going to press the button on ChatGPT and say, "Give me keywords," and it's going to be garbage because
mm-hmm.
half the time ChatGPT is just kind of pretending it knows what you're talking about because it's a language model, not a knowledge model. And as long as there's good information out there about it, it can take that and aggregate it. But if there actually is some real weird expertise that's not available, let's say all that context that we talked about, then it's just going to spit out a guess, which is just more of a good looking word salad than a real thought, right? So that's where it ends up having kind of a blockage. And keyword research right now is a spot where it has blockage. So don't think you're getting great keywords when you say, "Hey, ChatGPT, give me 20 topics," maybe, but like keyword research, I use Ahrefs, ahrefs.com. There's SEMrush. There's several other keyword research tools. Those are right now much better.
Yep, and I'll leave it this for me with all this stuff is, first off, it's all testing. Nobody, I mean, hell, Google could come back out and go, hey, this stuff is no longer good. So you never know. But the way that I like to look at this is you know, at first, if you wanted to learn something in school, you had to go read the textbooks and the scientific documents. And then this thing called Wikipedia came about, where it essentially took all the pertinent information that you needed and it made it much easier and quicker to understand. This stuff now is taking what Wikipedia was and it's giving you the exact answer without you having to find it in that Wikipedia article. So
Mm-hmm.
it keeps going and going and going. And essentially it's just taking this information, making it easier and more accessible to everybody. So the more that you know how to use it, the easier it's going to be. So
Absolutely.
cool. Love it. All right, Tim, I appreciate you jumping on this, man. This was awesome. Super fun to chat about. Everybody else, that's all we got. Go out, play with this stuff, but recognize it's just a tool like everything else. See you guys.
See you guys.